The scariest YouTube horror stories. I guess we'll just start with this one. 10 Terrifying True Scary Stories, Volume 9, by Mr. Nightmare.
Thanks.
Yo, should I turn off the lights? Should I make it extra spooky? Actually, I'm gonna do that. Ooh. Spooky, spooky. Chris J.
When I was 21 years old, I would be home alone at my parents' house a lot. We lived on a little pond which was directly in our backyard. On the other side of the pond was a little town park. Our neighbors were a bit spaced out. It was a pretty upscale, expensive block compared to the rest of the town, so the properties were big. I'm fully moved out now, but this was back when I was in college. My parents make a lot of money, and we have multiple homes, so often I was home alone. It was a random night in the summertime. I was off from school, so I can't remember if it was the weekend or a weekday, but odds are since I was home, it was a random weekday. I was in the back sunroom watching a show. That was my favorite room in the house in the summer because it was the most cozy and had the best breeze with all the windows open. I was right on the corner of the couch closest to the corner window when I heard splashing from outside, like in the pond. It could have been a goose or duck. Sometimes they'd fight in the water and make a bunch of splashing sounds, so at first I ignored it.
Yeah, we're reacting
As it persisted,
to
I decided to lower the
stories.
volume on the TV and listen. I put my ear up to the window even, and I heard consistent splashing sounds, way too heavy to be from a duck or goose. It sounded like they were splashes from a person. I opened the door in the sunroom and stepped outside to the deck. I looked out to the pitch darkness of the backyard. I now heard a man's humming along with the splashes. Someone was definitely swimming in the water. They were trespassing. Each house on the pond owned a specific chunk of the
Not
pond.
trespassing.
I stepped inside for a second to flick on the lights to the backyard deck. As I did this, just a bit of the pond was exposed, and the splashes and humming stopped. Whoever it was clearly saw me. I wondered if it was one of the neighbors going for a swim or something, which also just seemed weird because no one really swam in the pond ever. But honestly, whether it was or wasn't a neighbor, I wasn't going to confront whoever it was. I stepped back inside and turned off the lights, of course locking the door as well. I texted my brother who was away at college
really hear
about
me?
it. He didn't answer right away.
How's this?
I
Hello?
was trying not to
Hello?
creep myself out over it, but watching TV after this was kind of hard. I couldn't focus on the show.
Can you hear me now?
I looked out the window, but all I could see outside was darkness. I still had the TV on in the background, not
Alright.
realizing how revealing the light from the TV would be outside. And then, I thought I heard something on the
Can you
deck.
still hear the video though?
I hurried to find the remote and turn off the TV, and as the room went black and silent, it took me a few seconds to adjust, and realize that there was the sound of someone's heavy breathing right outside one of the many windows in the room. I instantly laid down flat on the couch to try and hide myself, and after a short moment of silence, a deep voice from outside the window said, "I see you." My heart dropped into my stomach. I couldn't decide in the moment whether to speak or keep hiding, so I just blurted out, "Paul, is that you?" Paul
the
was
fuck?
the name of one of our neighbors. I said this, clinging on to the hope that maybe it
What
was
the fuck,
him,
Paul?
and he was just messing with me. But the man outside didn't respond to this. I just heard footsteps walking away. As the barefoot sounding footsteps faded to silence, I still laid flat on the couch, too afraid to move. I laid for a few minutes, before the thought to go check that all the doors were locked came to mind. I exploded off the couch and ran straight for the front door. It was locked, as was the side entrance door. After a little
But you
while
gotta check the
longer,
windows.
texting my entire family about what was going on, my dad told me to turn the backyard lights on and check if anyone was still out there. He basically told me to be the man of the house and protect it. So I listened and checked the back deck through the window.
Hell yeah.
It was clear.
Alpha
I brought
up
a big
on 'em.
knife outside with me onto the deck, and I looked down. There were wet footprints that had half dried by then, but I could tell that they were barefoot footprints. I followed the trail of footprints around to the side part of the deck, and what I saw
Did
was
he not call the cops? I don't think they said if he called the cops. That what the fuck? I feel like that should be the first thing you do. Like what?
nightmare fuel.
Oh my. Okay.
Top part
What?
of someone's head, namely their
Dude, that shit did not scare me, bro. It startled me. That shit's not scary. I
eyes
swear.
and forehead, was peering just over the edge of the deck from the ground below, looking at me as if he heard me coming and was waiting. As we made eye contact,
Yo, what is this image?
he turned away, and by now I was ready to call 911. I did
Oh,
so
now you're
before
ready
even
to call
telling my
911.
parents.
All right.
I locked myself inside, waiting for them, and when they came, I felt instantly better. They asked if our family had any enemies or people who don't like us, or if we have any problem neighbors. Questions like this. They did do a quick sweep of the property and then left. I decided to shut every window that night and run the air conditioning just for added safety. When I awoke the next morning,
Why?
I was just
Why would you do that? Hold on. What?
questions like this. They did do a quick sweep of the property and then left. I decided to shut every window that night and run the air conditioning just for added safety.
Why? Why would you run the air conditioning? Just so you can't hear him if he breaks into your house? What the fuck? Dude, air conditioners are loud as hell. Why? What?
When I awoke the next morning, I was just delighted to see sunlight. I don't believe that man
air
ever returned to our
conditioning, bro.
house.
Like,
and
why?
we still don't know who it could have been.
Story
Has
2.
Kyrie texted you back?
I don't want to talk about
Dude,
it.
I'm not giving you free
How was the math
fucking
test?
advertisements, bro.
Don't want to talk
if you,
about
if
it.
you want, if you want ad time on my
You
stream,
need to talk to
you
somebody.
can sponsor me yourself. How about that? How about that?
I have a dog who I take for a walk 3 times a day.
That's the first thing you think of. Yeah, I mean, no, don't call 911. Turn on all the air conditioning units in the house so you can't hear anything. Fucking genius.
First in the morning, then in the afternoon, and finally at night. I take him on the same route every time, which is through our driveway exit, which leads to a cul-de-sac parking lot for the condominium complex we live in. This will make sense soon as to why I'm telling you this. On the night walk, I always go somewhat late. I'm not sure why, but it's been a habit ever since I've had him, and it's never been a problem for us. Until one night, I begin our final walk of the day and go our usual route. I have a flashlight with me as there are no lights at the parking lot, and I'm listening to music with only one AirPod as I feel it would be for the best just in case I heard something unusual. And I did. As I'm approaching the parking lot, I was hearing
Dude, people who use 2 AirPods, dude, they're actually like, they're just asking to get run up on. 2 AirPods, you can't hear shit. That's why I always just have one in. Like, dude, people who have 2 AirPods in are just asking for it, bro. Like, you can't hear shit.
something. A voice of some kind that was up ahead of me, but I was
Oh my God,
completely
it's a fucking
zoned
scary
out in my
ghost.
own world of music as it was happening. But then my mind finally caught up, and I stopped. I took the AirPod out and stood still to listen, just to see if I was only hearing things. And then it happened again, a voice that spoke ahead of me, but I couldn't see anyone. So I did the stupid thing and continued to carefully walk forward because I thought it was all in my head. But something didn't feel right about it. I stopped again after a few feet, right next
Honestly, like in hindsight, right? This guy's an idiot. You hear a fucking voice and then you just keep walking. But like in the moment, I would probably do the same thing. I'm gonna be completely honest. I would probably do the same thing. I would just keep walking. I would probably just think I'm hearing shit. Cause like what else are you really supposed to do? Did you say, hello? Hello? Who's there? Like no. Like what the fuck? Yeah, you just keep walking. Nah. I mean, what would you do? Like, what would you do then in the situation? Like, you're just out in the middle of nowhere, and then you just hear a voice. Like, what can you really do? Besides just keep walking.
to where all of the cars were parked, and I had my flashlight pointed everywhere in front of me. I stayed listening, and the creepiest thing that has ever happened to me yet was hearing a muffled voice of what sounded like a kid say the word help. My heart dropped so fast I couldn't move my legs. I frantically pointed my flashlight everywhere to see where it was coming from. I was sure
You'd teleport away, yeah.
it was coming from the cars, but I was completely thrown off by this. But there wasn't a kid in sight or anyone nearby. It was just me and my dog, who didn't seem to notice anything as he was just
Why does this jackass just have Christmas lights? Why does this jackass just have Christmas lights? This is probably like the middle of summer. I'm talking, but I have Christmas lights hanging around my room. I'm just gonna shut up.
sniffing some bushes nearby. And then I heard it again. The word help was spoken 3 more times, and it was coming from my left side where the cars
They're
were
just
parked.
very jolly.
It made me panic even more. I didn't know what to think of it, and I knew I wasn't imagining this when I saw my dog's ears perked up, and he was looking in the same direction I was facing after it happened. And that's when it hit me about how incredibly eerie all of this was. After hearing it multiple times, I realized the kid's voice didn't sound entirely like a kid. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like the mix of an adult and a child at the same time. And each time
Wait,
they
what did he
called
say?
it multiple times, I realized the kid's voice didn't sound entirely like a kid. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like the mix of an adult and a child at the same time.
I said that.
And each time they called for help, not only was the voice always muffled, but it was spoken in a more
It's a skinwalker.
generic statement as opposed to a cry for actual help every time. And I mean that literally. There was absolutely no change in the tone.
Oh my god. Oh, that's what he's talking about. Oh my god. Hold on. Dude, the scene from this one like horror short. What's it called? It's like a horror. It's like a YouTube video. It's like a horror movie almost, like a short horror movie. What's it called? Horror movie Skinwalker on YouTube. The Hollow Tree, right? I think it was The Hollow Tree. Dude, there's a scene in that. Literally, I'm pretty sure it's just exactly what he's talking about. Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, this. Hold on. Kind of like that, like... This scene is terrifying, by the way. It's fucking terrifying. Alright.
Tone, inflection, sound, or anything of sorts. My dog and I ran straight home afterwards, and I tried to explain to my mom what happened. She was puzzled herself about what it could have been, and I suggested we call the cops on the off chance that there was actually
Jimmy, have you been taking any drugs lately? His mom probably thinks he's fucking crazy.
someone in need of help, but she didn't think it was necessary.
My heart would stop if I saw that. I mean, I think I would just die on the spot. No, actually, I wouldn't be there in the first place because I'm not chasing a skinwalker through the woods. Actually, let's get that out of the way.
So
I'm
many
not
questions
stupid.
were conjuring up in my head. Why was the voice muffled? Was there someone in the car that I couldn't see? Or was it something darker waiting for me to move closer? I don't like to think too much about it, but whatever it was, it still makes me feel extremely disturbed to this day. This picture is where I had stopped and taken my AirPods out to listen, and I heard it up ahead on the left. This is where I had gotten closer and heard it on my left side. I'm aware that there's a condo complex on the right side, which some may think the noise was coming from, but it was in this direction facing the cars where my dog and I heard it, and you could see from this point of view that there's nothing to really indicate a noise.
Oh, but if you actually zoom in really, really close, like really, 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 really close, you can actually see Joe Bartolozzi in the back seat being strangled by Mr. Beast.
Noise coming from
It's
somewhere
really
else. Also, at the time this happened, the cars that were parked were trucks and SUV types, so they were a lot larger and covering more space, thus making it harder to see from where I was standing. I never figured this out.
Dude, these are not scary so far.
I did not think it would tell me that I need to prep better the day before.
You're
Yeah, you ain't getting no free advertising, bro. Little bro.
What I'm about to tell you is the reason why my parents moved out of a house that was in the family for 3 generations. I've struggled with depression most of my life.
Really?
It's hard for me to shake the feeling of being useless. I'm doing much better now, but
Damn.
when I was a kid, it was horrible. Because of that, I spent a lot of time alone in my room. My house was nestled in a very woodsy area. There were trees on 3 sides of it and a forest separating it from any neighbors. My room was pretty big for a bedroom. It was in the back corner of the house, so the windows on 2 walls faced the woods. It was honestly pretty scary for a kid my age. It didn't help that I was also scared of the dark.
Ooh.
Things started happening when I was around 10 or so. I was in the 5th grade, and I was at the
Are you still scared of the dark? I am. I'm a little scared of the dark. I feel like everyone's scared of the dark though. Cause like it's like the unknown. Like you have no idea what could be in the darkness. Depends on where you are. Yeah, that's true. Like if you're in your room like at night, like no. Cause like it's in your room. If at home, then no. Yeah, no. Like at home, no. But like if I'm just like in the middle of like if I'm standing right here in the dark, I'm pissing and shitting myself. This is fucking terrifying. I would never want to live here. Absolutely not. Just surrounded by pitch black woods. No. I'm going to get kidnapped, strangled, and killed by some random homeless dude on bath salts. And no.
age where it wasn't acceptable to sleep in my
Absolutely not.
parents' bed after a nightmare, but I was still accused of having an active imagination. The first thing I noticed was my nightlight. It had different color settings, so if I wanted, I could change the LED around. I liked keeping it on red, which is what I fell asleep to most nights. One night, though, I woke up randomly in the middle of the night, which was unusual for me. I was really tired and fell back asleep in under a minute, but before I did, I noticed that my nightlight was a different color than the red I always left on. I didn't think much of it until about a week later. One morning, I woke up and realized my nightlight was once again not set to red like it always was. I asked my parents why they were messing with my nightlight, but they were confused and told me they didn't know what I was talking about. I explained what had happened to them, and they told me that the thing had always been glitchy. They knew best,
the ghost of
so I accepted
red
that answer
nightlights.
for a while. At least until one morning after waking up to see my nightlight unplugged completely. It was just sitting there on the floor. Once again, my parents dismissed my concern and told me my brain should be focused on school. My dad said I was
Damn.
getting too old for a nightlight anyway.
Oh,
A few days
damn.
later, my nightlight was missing completely. It had seemingly evaporated out of existence. Now I knew my parents were lying to me. They probably thought I should have outgrown the nightlight by then and took matters into their own hands. This incident
How old did he say he was? I don't remember.
caused a massive fight between them and I, since both of us accused the other of hiding it.
They're fighting over a nightlight. Like what the fuck? It's not that serious, bro. It's a fucking nightlight. Like we're really having a squabble about a nightlight.
Neither of us was budging. I couldn't believe my parents would blatantly lie to me about something like this, but there was nothing I could do. After that, things went back to normal for a week. That didn't last long, though. 3 nights in a row, I woke up randomly in the middle of the night. Each time,
Gotta
I had
piss?
no idea what was waking me up. After
gotta
it happened
piss,
a
dude.
4th time in a row, I told my parents.
Was dude?
They told
fucking
me
wetting
that I
the
was
bed?
going through puberty, and that changes to my body are natural.
Oh, so he's probably like 13. I think I stopped using a nightlight when I was like 7. Like I mean, the parents have a point, but like it's just I don't think it's that big of a deal.
The next time it happened, I stayed awake instead of falling back asleep. A few minutes after I woke up, I heard faint rustling noises from my closet. My parents didn't believe me. My dad even checked my closet, and there was nothing in there besides old toys and posters. The next 4 days remained the most traumatizing nights I've ever experienced in my life. I'd been woken up only to hear rustling in my closet. It was torture. I couldn't take it anymore. I begged my parents to believe me, and my dad got angry. He dragged me to my closet to prove there was nothing in there. He started throwing toys around my room, clearing the closet bit by bit, yelling at me the whole time.
Damn.
That is, until he pulled one of the posters off the wall. My mother and father stared in horror.
And then there was a shit stain on the wall.
At the massive hole in the wall the posters had
Jimmy, what the fuck? You shit on your wall?
concealed. My mom started screaming.
So I was busy making that lame ass joke. Hold on.
Massive hole in the wall the posters had concealed.
Massive?
My mom started screaming, and my dad pulled out a flashlight. The hole was way too deep to see where it led, so my dad ran outside and began inspecting the outside of the house. There was a tiny hole in the dirt at the base of the house, and a little digging revealed that it was more than a divot. There was literally a passageway from the woods to my room.
If you know, you know.
My mom and I were out of the house that night to my aunt's house. We moved out shortly after this. I stayed at my aunt's house until
You moved out because of that? I don't know, bro. I wouldn't move out. Like I would go and see like what it is first, because it could be just like I don't know, like pipes that never got finished or something. Like I wouldn't move out of the house. At most, I would go like live with someone else for a bit and have someone else check it out. I wouldn't move out. I would. Dude, that's like a $300,000 fucking commitment right there. Just because you saw a spooky little hole in the wall. Yeah, no, I think at most I would just like stay at like a motel for the night and just like call the cops. I don't even know if I would go that far. I would call like a plumbing company. I wouldn't even call the cops.
we did. I don't like thinking about this experience, but I'm gonna have to face it eventually. My parents also refused to talk about this incident, and I think it's partly because they feel some blame for not taking me seriously. It's chilling to think that there was a stranger in my room every night for over a month.
Dude,
I have no idea what they wanted,
You don't know that.
and will probably never know.
At Grand Canyon University, we're redefining
Your kids come to you with something that sounds abnormal. Believe them.
If someone made that hole, then they can come back. Yeah, but you know, who knows what the hole was for? Like, listen, one time I was really mad, right? So I had a baseball, right? And I chucked it against my wall, and it made a huge hole in the wall. So I put a poster over it. Bro probably just got a little angry because his daddy took away his flashlight or his nightlight or whatever. And then just like, I don't know, chuck the football at the wall.
My name is Leo. To be completely honest with you, I'm a little lost in life right now. I won't get into it too much, but all you need to know is that my family situation is horrible. For the past 3 years, I've tried to stay as far away from home as possible. My close friends from high school have been changing in ways I don't like, and I feel like my hometown has nothing to offer me anymore. I'm about to be a senior in college, and to be completely honest, I have absolutely
Yeah, but I'm guessing the hole is big enough for a person to crawl through. Well, yeah. But I don't know. yeah, I don't know. The story's fake as fuck. It's not real. This is all just made up. But honestly, unless they checked it out, I'm calling bullshit, because that would be the first thing I did. I would grab a flashlight and shine it through that bitch. That's literally the first thing I'm doing.
no idea what I'm going to do with my life after that. Enough with the sob story, though. I was in Berlin last year for whatever reason, probably searching for a sense of place or trying to find a direction in life. I remember the
in
name of the
Berlin.
bar I was in, Reduya. I was there alone, nothing I'm not used to. I was getting ready to leave when I felt around my pocket and realized my apartment keys were missing. Just my luck. I stumbled out of the bar and began walking toward my apartment anyway. The whole thing was locked up. There was no way I was getting in there, and it was way too late at night to get a replacement set. I'm not sure what most people would do in a situation like this, but my first thought was to start looking for a place to sleep. As if my luck wasn't bad enough, it started raining.
Excuse me.
Eventually, I decided to sleep under a nearby bridge. I didn't even know where
I don't mean to laugh, but seriously, a nearby bridge. I mean, listen, I get people are in different financial situations. You know, you can't. You know, you're struggling, but under a bridge. Why? Are you trying to get mugged by crackheads? Under a fucking bridge in Berlin. You're just asking to get just strangled. Like, what?
I was, but I was out of the rain and safe, so I was happy. As I was drifting off,
No, I guess
I
he's
began
happy,
picking
so.
up on some faint voices coming from across the river.
Dude, it's the
I
fucking
sat back up
crackheads.
and saw what looked like 5 men standing on the opposite side of the river, along with a little boat that was tied off. They didn't seem to notice me. It took me less
Are
than
they
a
just
minute to
fishing?
realize what I was watching. There was an honest-to-God drug dealer or something going down right in front of me.
No.
My German
People are doing drugs under a bridge? Get out of town.
isn't great, so I wasn't really able to make out what they were saying. But several briefcases and duffel bags were exchanging hands, so I filled in the blanks myself. I
Where
thought
is it?
about
Berlin.
finding a new spot, but I
Germany.
didn't want to draw attention to myself by moving. I figured I'd just wait for this to be over, then leave. All of a sudden, one of the men yelled something aggressively in German and pointed a gun at one of the other men. There was a brief moment of
this is in
silence
Germany,
before the other
apparently.
guy put his hands up and began talking really quickly. It looked like he was being set up. The other men stripped the man at
Oh.
gunpoint of his clothing and started confiscating
What?
his belongings.
Okay.
I didn't feel
what?
safe there anymore and got up slowly to move. As I did, I heard one of the men shout what roughly translates to, "There's someone there." I started
Oh.
running, not even turning to look at them. They shouted more things at me, but the only words I was able to understand were, "Don't shoot." I ran until I threw up and nearly passed out due to drunken exhaustion. There was no way they'd be able to catch me, but they could have easily killed me. Sometimes I still think about how I could have lost my life that night if those men had decided to fire at me. Sometimes I feel like I'm fated to
Okay. Okay. They what? Why is this story included? Like, this isn't scary. What? This is just like a weird encounter. Like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be true scary stories. Not I slept under a bridge and saw people doing crack.
run forever.
Love Roblox? Earn Roblox digital gift cards with Microsoft Rewards.
It was a normal Friday afternoon at my high school. I was walking down a hallway with my friend Emma as she talked about God knows what.
Every high school has a hallway like this. Every high school has a hallway like this. The slightly wider hallway with the windows all the way at one end and probably like a staircase all the way at the other. Every high school has this, bro. My high school has like 5 of these. Just iconic hallway.
I was just trying to get through the day because I honestly had a lot to deal with at home as well as at school, being that my foster parents weren't the nicest people to say the least. As we walked past the lunchroom, I suddenly had to use the bathroom. I asked Emma if she had to go.
Don't use the bathroom at school. Rule number 1. Not a good call.
She said no and that she would wait outside for me.
Oh, no, don't shit in school. You can piss in school. Never shit in school.
I went into the
Those motherfuckers are peeking over the stalls, bro. I swear.
bathroom and immediately noticed no one else was in there. I thought to myself, that was weird, because out of the multiple bathrooms in the school, this one was always packed at any given time. I shrugged it off and went into a stall, and a few seconds after getting in the stall and sitting down, I heard the bathroom entrance door open and shut abruptly and someone entering the bathroom, but I didn't hear them move after entering. I didn't think anything of this. It wasn't really anything out of the ordinary. Maybe it was someone hiding from an admin. I went about my business. I stood up to button my jeans and read the writing on the bathroom wall. There was a bunch of random quotes and rants about teachers. Then I heard the door open again, and I assumed whoever was in here had left. I came out of the stall, and as I left the bathroom, Emma was looking at me with a weird face, almost like a "what the hell did I just see" face. I asked her what was up,
Wait, what? Oh, I'm missing something here.
to button my jeans Friday afternoon at my high school. Being that my foster parent, no one else was in there. I thought to myself, that was weird, because out
Didn't
of
he
the
just say
multiple
nobody
bathrooms
else?
in the
He
school,
just
this
said
one was
nobody else
always
in the
packed
bathroom.
at
Now
any given
Emma's in the
time.
bathroom.
However, I had heard someone come in seconds before I came out because she realized she did need to go. But then she saw someone else in the stall, standing with their shoes touching the back of mine. That's how close they were behind me in the stall. And she said she left immediately, not wanting to witness whatever was going on.
What?
I reiterated again I was the only one in the stall. However, I had heard someone come in, but I never heard them use the bathroom, and I had assumed they were hiding from an admin. That's when she told me no one went
I'm
near
so
the door
confused.
until she came in seconds before I came out.
So some dude came into the bathroom and stood in the stall? What? I'm so confused.
I didn't believe in the paranormal, but this made my stomach sink.
Oh, so it's bullshit. So this is just bullshit. I don't believe in the paranormal, but bullshit. As soon as that line comes, as soon as I hear the word paranormal, I'm just like bullshit. It's automatic red flag.
I found an admin and told her about it, and she pretty much tried to assure me that it didn't happen, that
I'm not saying ghosts aren't real, right? Because nobody knows. But this is bullshit. This is just bullshit.
Emma was probably just messing with me. But Emma was never one to take things seriously or be serious in general. So when she looked me in the eyes with a serious face and told me word for word what she saw, I felt like it actually happened, and something really was in there with me, along with the fact that I heard the bathroom door open and close twice. I'm 18 now, and I haven't forgotten it since.
Dude, I'm not saying that could be a real story. I'm just saying it's not a ghost. It's nothing paranormal about that. Some dude came in, stood in the stall, maybe realized he was in the wrong bathroom, then left. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I'm confused. I'm still confused by that one, and I'm probably never gonna understand it. I don't know. I don't know.
This happened long ago when I was renting a small house in the town that I got my first real big girl job at. It was a small one-floor house with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and just enough living space for myself and occasionally hosting some people. I had been living there for a few weeks already. All was fine. The landlord, who I'll just call Michelle, was really friendly and understanding. I think she rented to me because she didn't want a male renting out her house. I'll skip unnecessary details and get right to the point.
Why?
Something very weird started happening a few weeks into living there. One regular work night, I got a knock at the door. I went to the other side and said, "Who is it?" And no
Rent?
one responded.
Give me your
I didn't
rent.
open it. No one should be knocking on my door late at night. It was early the next morning. I had finished getting ready for work and was about to leave. I opened my front door and saw a big post-it note taped to the storm door.
Okay. All right. Why is that scary? I'm sorry. That's just not scary. Like Hello, beautiful. That's not fucking scary. That's not scary. I'm sorry. This is not fucking scary. If it was a threat, now that would be scary. This ain't scary.
It said, "Hello, beautiful." I right away remembered the knocks on the door from last night.
Is this how people communicate now? This guy's trying to ask her out on a date, but he's doing it like the middle school method. We're passing notes.
It was no doubt the same person, but the big question was, who could it be? I crumpled it out of disgust and threw it in the trash, hoping
Why are
and
you
assuming
disgusted? This dude just complimented you. Now, if this was a stalker, that'd be a little different. But like, I mean, there's nothing really threatening about that. It's just hello, beautiful.
it would be a one and done
He
thing.
thinks you're beautiful.
It was that night that I got another knock at the door. This time a little earlier, while I was cooking dinner. I went over to the door, this time not saying anything, just listening. There was no peephole or glass to look through.
Your clients dream big. Your agency builds bigger. Move faster. Go further.
Oh my god, I don't care.
To the other side. I had no way of seeing who was there without opening the door, and that wasn't going to happen, as the storm door didn't lock. But this was the second night in a row, and now I was realizing
What is a storm door? Am I stupid? What is a storm door? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's these things. Okay. I was a little confused.
this was some kind of stalker situation. I called my mom and dad to ask for advice, and really, they didn't even know what to say. My dad, who was a retired police officer,
Wait, hold on.
said that if
don't
I
know.
called
Did
the
I miss
cops
something?
situation. I called my row, and it wasn't going to happen, as the storm door didn't lock. But this was the second night in a row, and now I was realizing this was some kind of stalker situation.
All right, now
I
that's
called my
a little
mom and
bit-
dad
that's
to
a
ask
little
for
scary.
advice, and really, they didn't even know what to say. My dad, who was a retired police officer, said that if I called the cops, they wouldn't really be of any help unless they were catching the person in the act. My dad advised me to not go outside late at night for a while, don't answer the door, and if it persists,
I don't do that anyway. Don't go out late at night anyway. What the fuck?
that he'd come to town
You had to be told that?
and spend a few days with me. So that was the advice I followed. The next morning, the first thing I did was check the storm door for another note, and part of me died inside when I saw another note stuck to the glass. This one said, "I like to watch you."
Okay. Now that's scary. That's pretty threatening. That's not a compliment. That's a little scary. If I saw that at my door, I'd probably shit myself. But I don't know where I'm going with that.
I took a picture of it with my phone and sent it to not only my
I didn't know where I
family,
was going
but
with that.
Michelle as well. I asked Michelle if she had any kinds of issues with certain men or any stalkers. She acted appalled and shocked when I sent her a picture of the note and told her about the knocks. She assured me that she didn't have any stalkers and that she was in a long-term relationship. Still, I wasn't entirely convinced. I left a note on the door after work that day, saying if you're looking for Michelle, she does not live
You left another post-it note on the door. Go fist yourself. Leave that for him to see.
here. She only rents this house out. If you continue to come here, I will be reporting this to the police. Doing this gave me a level of comfort, actually. I thought this would end things.
No.
That night, every waking
No, what I would do is I would sit. You see this little bush right here? I would sit out in that bush, camp out there with a sledgehammer or a crowbar or a hammer or something. As soon as that motherfucker walks up to the door, I pin him. I take it out. I corner him on this little thing right here, and I threaten him. I say, "Come back to my house again, and this crowbar is going up your anus. All right, get the fuck out of here. He's never coming back. I guarantee he's never coming back. Problem solved."
minute was spent with anxiety, worrying about hearing knocks at the door again. To my relief, there were none tonight, I went to sleep in relative peace, thinking my note worked. The next morning, I opened the door and removed my note from the glass, but then realized it wasn't my note. It was a new note, and it said, "I'm not looking for Michelle. I'm looking for you." And it said my name, followed with, "I like watching you," like it said in the previous note. I sent it to my dad right away. I felt seriously ill. My dad packed a bag and drove up first thing. He was at my
See, this is the situation where you move out. Like, fuck. Not a random hole in the wall. This is where you move out. Or go live with someone else for a bit. What the fuck?
house by the time I got home from work. And work that day was rough because I couldn't think of anything except for this horrific situation. I even wondered if someone in my office could have been doing this, like this creepy guy Fernando. My dad and I waited to call the police together until later in the night when we figured whoever was doing this may be hiding out there already. We wanted them to see the police presence. We spoke with an officer outside. My dad said it must have been a busy night since they only sent one. My dad, being a retired police officer, obviously didn't hurt in this whole situation. After the officer left with his report, my dad stayed out on the front stoop for hours, even after I went to sleep. Obviously the person didn't return that night, and I moved out once I was able to pack all my things. Michelle was completely understanding. Thankfully, whoever was stalking me at that house didn't follow me to my new place, likely eliminating the possibility that it was a coworker. So I will likely never know who it was.
Wow.
I'll be honest with
Fucking
you,
hate
I've
YouTube.
probably spent more time chasing women than I'd like to admit. I've had to tone it down a lot since college, partly because of what I'm about to tell you. I went to school in California, and while I haven't been back in a while, when I was there, the culture was very open.
You got
And
catfished.
when I say open, I mean sexual. This honestly could have been true for other colleges in other states at the time,
Huh?
but I really wouldn't know. It was my sophomore year, and I had just finished pledging the fraternity Pike. About halfway through the semester, though, I was getting sick of only talking to sorority girls that seemed to know half the guys in every frat. It was honestly a little gross, and I started developing a fear that every girl I was interested in had been with several people I personally knew. I tried my luck and created a Tinder profile. It wasn't long before I matched with someone whose interests seemed to match mine. We started talking, and things were going well. After a few days, we made plans to meet up at a local college bar called Tap House on a Saturday night. This was actually my favorite bar in the area because it had pool tables and I had been clearing racks since I was 10 years old. I remember getting there a little early so I could secure a table and warm my muscles up a bit. An hour passed though, and I came to terms with the fact that I had probably been stood up. I was trying to decide whether I should salvage the night or just go home and play online chess when I got a notification.
Really? That's the first thing you think about doing? Playing online chess. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just that's your choice of leisure. All power to you, man.
To my surprise, it was Yamel, the girl I was waiting on,
Yamal?
telling me she had just arrived. I greeted
Oh, well,
her,
shit,
and she
bitch, I already
apologized for being late. We got some drinks, played some pool, and got to know each other. She was Latina and a heavy drinker, so I got plastered just trying to keep up. At one point, she asked for my Instagram, which I gave to her. 10 seconds later, I found myself staring at a collection of explicit photos she had just sent me. I was confused, but in my drunken state, I wasn't gonna
They just met.
complain.
What the?
Before I
what?
could even respond, she told me, "Your turn," which I figured could only
Never do that. Never do that. Never do that. Never do that. Not speaking from experience here. If you do that, your meat's gonna end up on your Snapchat story. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Don't do that. Just don't do that.
mean one thing. Honestly, if I hadn't been so drunk, I probably would have questioned why we were sending pictures to each other when we were literally 5 feet apart. but I didn't have the foresight. I complied with her request.
Wait, they were sitting next to each other? Wait, she was sending him explicit pictures sitting right next to him. So she was taking the pictures right next to him? Or am I confused? Am I just confused? In the middle of a bar, they're just taking explicit pictures. I've got to be understanding that wrong. No, there's no way.
We laughed about the whole thing, and that was that. A few hours later, things at the bar were starting to wind down.
They're still at the bar, taking explicit pictures. Where everyone can see. What?
I was planning on inviting her to my place, but she beat me to it, asking if I could spend the night at hers. I agreed, and we left the bar. I couldn't even walk in a straight line. It was honestly embarrassing. We Ubered to her apartment, which was actually in Oakland, something
At least they took an Uber.
I hadn't realized before. Honestly, red flags should have been going off in my brain the moment we crossed into Oakland. She unlocked the door of her apartment and stepped aside so I could go first. I took a few steps inside and heard the door shut behind me. It was pitch black in there. As I was turning around to ask her to flip some lights on, the room lit up. To my horror, I wasn't facing a harmless 5'2" girl anymore. Instead, two massive bald dudes with tank tops were standing in front of the door with their hands clasped. I turned around, and there was another.
Nah, don't mind them. They're just gonna pull up some chairs and sit in the corner and watch. Yeah, just don't mind them. Yeah, they just want to watch.
Other white bald dude in front of me. I wish I could tell you more about the room I was in, but it was honestly difficult for me to recall small details of that night. I couldn't fight or flee, so I just froze. The guy in front of me began telling me my own name, birthday, and age. He then went on to say that the girl I had just gone out with was 17, meaning I had received and
Huh? You say what now? What? So this guy's a predator. Take a seat. What? This story took a turn. I did not expect that.
sent explicit pictures to a minor. He then suggested
It's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
that I do what I was told, which I did. The two guys behind me confiscated my phone, wallet, and keys, all of which I gave up without a fight. I asked the guy in front of me what he wanted, and he basically told me that he was a major distributor of illicit substances in Northern California. He told me that I'd be outed as a pedophile if I didn't distribute his product to my fraternity and university.
What?
I wish I could remember more specifics. The two men behind me then gave me a piece of paper and told me to write down my address, followed by a list of names and numbers for as many students as I knew. I told them that I'd need my phone.
Who's the real predator here? Which one is the predator? The bald dude or the other dude? Or are they both predators? One of these guys is predators. One of them's asking for girls' phone numbers. The other one sent pictures to a 17-year-old. I mean, what the fuck?
To complete the list, so one of them held it firmly in front of me and let me scroll through. All three of them were hovering over me now, knowing I was basically checkmated. I don't know what compelled me to do it, but the literal second I saw a chance, I ran. I was too drunk to think about the consequences of those pictures on my phone. I narrowly escaped out the door I had entered from and and ran as fast as I possibly could. It's not like I was safe though. I was still smack dab in one of the most dangerous places in America. Eventually, I found a nice looking house and begged them to open up. I pleaded with them to let me use their phone and call 911, and then I told the police everything. But of course, I didn't remember the address of that girl's apartment. An officer picked me up and took down a report before asking me if I would be okay leading them back to that apartment. I was actually able to retrace the way I had run, and I waited in one of the squad cars as the police barged in. After a few minutes, an officer told me that the place was completely deserted and there were not any signs that people had even been there. In the following weeks, the police actually took my report seriously and launched a full-scale investigation. They concluded that it was probably gang-related, but were never able to arrest anyone. That was years ago. I bet this incident has been swept under the rug of Oakland's rampant crime and drug-related activity. In all honesty, what happened to me all those years ago is probably nowhere near the top of the list when it comes to that godforsaken place. I haven't used a dating app since.
Damn. I'm so confused.
EVE
Was the guy
Online is a
was the guy
vast
predator or not? I'm so confused.
I've been smoking cigarettes every day for years. Before you judge me, let me just say that I recently started seeing a therapist for my nicotine addiction. Unfortunately, it hasn't helped much. The only thing worse than my nicotine addiction is my sleep schedule. I don't know what it is. I find myself staying up hours past midnight and rarely get out of bed before noon.
Damn.
While I'm trying to fix these parts of my life, they're extremely relevant to what I'm about to tell you. It began a few months ago. I was standing on my balcony, like I do most nights, smoking a cigarette. I live in a really secluded neighborhood. It's not like the houses around here are right next to each other. Despite this, I have a neighbor whose fence I can see over if I'm standing on my balcony. I'm not nosy or anything, but this particular night, I was looking into his yard. I had never met the guy, but I assumed he lived alone since there was only ever a navy blue
Wow.
BMW parked.
Why were you looking
Not
into
this
his
night,
yard? What the fuck?
Though, there was a black van I'd never seen before sitting in front of his house. I didn't make anything of it, just noting the coincidence to myself. The next night, though, I made it a point to pay attention to his yard, and the same black van was parked there again. I didn't assume something sinister was going on. I was more intrigued than anything.
Why?
The following morning, I went up to my balcony and looked into his yard. The van was gone. For the remainder of the week, I made a game out of observing the van at night, theorizing its purpose.
I don't know if I just have terrible survival instincts, but I would not care. If there was just a random black van parked in my neighbor's driveway, I wouldn't care. It would not intrigue me, it would not bother me. I was like, oh, it's just a black van. Maybe I just have terrible survival instincts, but that's just me, Bear.
I said I wasn't nosy, but I sure am obsessive. It's actually the main reason most
Yeah,
of my
like, I feel like this is a little bit nosy. He's like,
friends drifted out of my life. I wasn't going to do more than observe, though. It wasn't my business or place to poke around further. That is, until one night, when I saw something that completely changed my perspective of the situation. I was up later than usual. It was maybe 5 in the morning. The van was there, as it had been the past several nights. I was smoking my last cigarette when my neighbor actually walked outside, something I hadn't seen yet. I watched as he made his way to the van, carrying what appeared to be a long black bag. It almost looked like a set of golf clubs, only much heavier. After opening the van's sliding door, he delicately placed the bag inside. He promptly got in the driver's seat and sped off. I was dumbfounded. I had absolutely no
see, now that's where I would start to get a little bit intrigued. That's where I would start to get a little concerned. Not just a black van, dude. He's putting a body bag in the black van. That's what would intrigue me.
idea what he could have been carrying. I was exhausted though, so I figured I'd think about it more the next morning.
Dude's more intrigued about just the black van than he is a dude carrying a body bag into a black van. What is this guy's problem?
The next day, I decided that I'd go out on my balcony a little early.
I'll just think about it tomorrow. It's probably no big deal. But oh, there's a van in his driveway. Something sinister is going on here.
And wait for the van to arrive at his house. I brought my laptop up there so I could get some work done and wait. It was around 10 p.m. and the van wasn't in the driveway, but around 1 a.m. the van pulled in. I quickly shut my laptop and watched. Nothing happened for a good several minutes. The van just sat there.
Is he just sitting there watching his driveway? Dude, I think this guy has more issues than whoever this guy is. What the, bro?
Engine running and all. After about 5 minutes, the driver door opened and there he was. I watched as he went around to the side of the van, then slid the door open and pulled out the same bag that he had put in the night before. He seemed to be struggling this time around, visibly trying not to crack under the weight of whatever was in there. After waddling a few slow steps, both he and the bag disappeared into his house. I didn't know what to think. I thought about waiting there until 5 a.m. again, but that would be far too taxing on my brain. Something was definitely wrong though, and I was determined to find out what. The next morning, I flipped a coin and ultimately decided to follow his van when he pulled out that night. After a pretty unproductive day, I went up to my balcony around 4 a.m. and waited, cigarette in hand. As soon as I saw movement in his driveway, I rushed downstairs, grabbed my keys, and got in my car. I turned my headlights off and waited for the van to turn onto the main road. Once it did, I began tailing it. After 20 minutes of driving, he pulled onto a dirt path that looked like it led into the woods. It did. I followed, and the woods actually started thinning up a bit. It seemed like this path had once been a main road or something. We drove for another few minutes before I realized what his destination was. There was a deserted gas station literally tucked away in some clearing in the woods, and right in front of it was the BMW I'd always seen parked in his driveway. I feared I was getting too close, so I turned my car around and parked across the street from the dirt road. I must have waited there an hour. His BMW finally pulled out of the clearing. Nervously, I started driving back up the path, not sure what I'd find. I pulled over on the side of the road and started walking towards the gas station. It was eerie. The front door was locked. I walked around to the side. That was locked as well. So was the back.
Dude, this is so fake. This is so fake. A human's first instinct in this situation would never be to investigate. This is such bullshit.
Door. I needed to know what was inside. There was a row of windows that I tried to open, but none of them would budge. Against my better judgment, I picked up a rock and slammed it into one of the windows. It shattered.
I mean, now you're just damaging public property. Like, I mean,
Pretty easily, but there must have been a security system in that place because alarm bells started blaring. I sprinted back to my car, the whole time wondering why an abandoned gas station would be rigged with an alarm system. As I sped out of there, I called 911 and gave them a vague description before hanging up. I got back to my house and ran inside, my heart still racing. The next morning, I woke up hoping the whole thing had blown over. Boy, was I wrong. I went up to my balcony to see like 8 police cars in my neighbor's driveway, lights flashing and everything. I watched as an officer escorted my neighbor out of his house in handcuffs. One by one, the police cars drove away and I was left to my imagination. I lit a cigarette and stood there, finally alone with my thoughts. I've asked the police for details on several occasions.
okay, yeah, I understand. He was right all along. Yeah. He had no reason to be concerned initially. Just a black van in someone's driveway, dude. Who cares? That's not a reason to be concerned, dude. And then he sees someone put a black body bag in the black van. There's some reason to be concerned there, but he just doesn't give a shit. He says, "Oh, I'll just think about it tomorrow." I swear, he cared more about the fact that there was a black van in his driveway than the fact that he was putting a body bag in that black van. Like, What?
But they would never answer my questions. I've even tried driving back up to that gas station, but the whole road had been blocked off. Maybe one day I'll work up the courage to walk through the woods and go looking for answers.
At Grand Canyon University, we're redefining what higher education looks like.
As preparation for a life.
I'm not somebody who grew up with any kind of sleep disorders, such as sleep paralysis or night terrors. I've always been a very heavy sleeper, so that's why when what I'm about to tell you started happening, it was a shock to me. We all have the occasional nightmare. I used to call nightmares a free, 3D immersive horror movie. To most, that will probably sound freakish, but in a weird way, I sometimes like the thrill of waking up after a nightmare. I was living with my one roommate, Patricia. I just called her Trish. We had very different schedules with work, so we didn't see each other much besides on the weekends. This happened in July. I remember because it was so hot out that I had the window AC unit on full blast every night, which also provided a white noise that helped me sleep better. It was the first night that I had the nightmare, a few days after my ex and I had broken up, and life wasn't exactly the best. I had a dream that I vaguely remember for the most part, but the part that I vividly remember is being in a room full of my family members sitting quietly around a dinner table, and standing across the table from me was what I could best describe to be a creature that looked like one of the aliens from the movie Signs, only with horns and claws.
Nope.
It looked like what you'd imagine a sleep paralysis demon to look like, only I was still fully asleep and dreaming. The next thing I knew, the thing was standing next to me, looking down at me. I started to run away in my dream until I was in my room, or I guess my brain's version of my room. That was the last of that dream I remember before waking up. My room was pitch black and the AC fan was on full blast. My heart was racing a bit from the dream, and I sat there thinking, wow, that was a creepy dream. I looked around the room naturally before laying back down and going to sleep. The following night, I woke up in the middle of the night to my bedroom door open, which I usually 99% of the time would leave shut unless I was drinking. My immediate thought was that it was Trish checking if I was home. I went up to go shut it and went back to sleep fairly quickly. I asked Trish if she came in my room the next day via text, and she told me she did not. So it was always possible I just took a midnight trip to the bathroom or kitchen that I didn't remember. It was the following night that I had another nightmare. That same demon creature from my previous dream appeared again in this one. This one was a lot more disturbing.
I don't think I've ever had a reoccurring dream. Especially not back to back. I don't think I've ever had a reoccurring dream. Not that I can think of, at least.
Instead of being with my family, I was in a dark, square, empty room with the thing, and it kept getting closer to me. Oddly, I don't remember the thing actually moving its limbs to walk. I just remember that it kept getting closer and closer until it was on top of me. And then, like I couldn't even move, the thing took a claw to my thigh and scratched me. And I actually think I felt the pain in my dream.
And then he woke up and there was actually a scratch on his thigh. Yeah. I've heard this script a billion times, dude.
Then, the next thing I remember is waking up. I don't mean I woke up right after that. I mean I don't remember what happened after that in the dream. But it was dark in the room once again. AC on full blast. I felt a slight stinging feeling on my upper thigh. I felt it with my hand, and I actually felt like I felt something on the skin. I looked in the mirror, and I screamed out loud when I saw a gash in my thigh. I went to Trisha's room and turned on the light, waking her up. She asked how the fuck I got that, and I screamed, I don't know.
So predictable.
my room together and flipped off all the sheets and covers off the bed, looking for any kinds of bugs or spiders or any sharp object I could have laid down on, which, yes, I understand makes no sense, but
Now, what do I think he got it from? I honestly have no fucking idea. I just I just know that this is the most standard horror movie plot. One of the most basic horror movie plots. Something happens in your dream, you wake up, it happened in real life. It's just so it's horror movie 101, bro. It's fucking so predictable.
what else were we to think? Trish then looked at me and said, "Wait," and put her finger to her lip. She turned off my AC unit, and for the first time in days, the room went quiet. It all became sickeningly clear in an instant, as we both heard a sound from under my bed. The kind of faint
Dude, I'm tempted to just turn this shit off, bro. I'm tempted to just turn this bullshit off, bro. This shit is so fake.
sound that you sense from another person just existing in the room. I'm impressed at both of our ability to not
Dude, in my opinion, this isn't scary because I know it's fake. The scariest like stories are stories that can like actually happen to you. Like I know there's this one YouTuber we'll probably react to in the future, but he talks about like real like horror stories like kidnapping, like he does like school lockdowns. Like those are actual scary stuff because they actually happen. Not this paranormal Ghostbusters bullshit. Like this is just clearly fake. It's not scary.
scream right on the spot as we both looked at
I
the
turn around, the thing's just behind me.
bed and then at each other, and then left the room and then the apartment. We knocked on the neighboring apartment door until he answered. We asked him for help. Someone was in our apartment. He was an older guy, so I don't think we expected him to go fight some stranger in our apartment. He let us use his phone to call 911. At some point while waiting for the police, we heard a door outside slam shut. It sounded like our door. None of us could look out the window in time to see who it was. When the police got there, we confirmed the intruder was gone. We did leave all the lights on in the apartment when we ran away though, and left in a rather sudden fashion, so the intruder definitely knew that we knew. And then came the reflection I had of my dreams, and what they actually meant. That demon in my dreams was supposed to be him, even in the first dream. And with my door being open that night, that means he or she may have been roaming around our apartment at night, possibly eating our food.
Okay, wait, actually this is starting to make more sense. So have like when you guys I think we've all wet the bed because we tried to use the bathroom in our dreams, right? I think that's happened to literally everybody. Happened to me just the other day. I'm just kidding. But like something in your dream that corresponds to something in real life. Like say there's like say there's like a lamp in the corner of your room. If you turn that lamp on and you're dreaming, there's gonna be like a light or something. I don't know if I'm explaining this well. Like there's a person standing in front of you and you're dreaming. Like you're asleep and you're dreaming, and then there's a person standing in front of you. In your dream, there's gonna be something like in front of you, which is I'm pretty sure what like the alien thing was. Like there was someone actually in his room, and it was just like in the form of an alien in his dream. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but someone probably understood what I said. Maybe, I don't know.
To think this person actually scratched my thigh so hard it left a mark, it's actually really disturbing to think about. This forever changed my outlook on dreams and nightmares.
Better sleep is simple. Just track your activity.
Avoid blue light.
Exercise
Get
regularly.
adequate exposure to natural light.
Or maybe you just need a little more from your
Mike P. This is the final story.
This happened when I was a little kid living in our old house in Suffolk County, Long Island. I'm gonna say I was about 6 or 7 years old. My older brother and I shared a bedroom on the top floor that used to be a separate apartment that my dad rented out to an old lady, but she moved out, and so the upstairs was mainly for my older brother and I at that point. The layout was as follows. At the top of the stairs, on the left was our bedroom, which used to be the old woman's living room. Straight ahead was the bathroom, and to the right was an extra kitchen and a small bedroom. We had a million toys in our room, as the room itself was huge, and it also had 2 parallel crawl-in closets on opposite sides of the room where we stored a million other toys and board games and stuff like that. There was one toy though, a race car with a bunch of buttons on it. The buttons would make the car's lights turn on momentarily and play varying sound effects such as honking, rev.
What is this room? This is I don't know why, this is just unsettling. Why is the lamp just sitting on like an open windowsill? That shit's just gonna fall out.
And driving sounds, and a little rock song. It was a toy we had for like ever, because it was originally a gift from my brother when he was a little
I've had a
younger.
couple of those.
It was a random night. My brother and I were both in bed, not yet asleep, when suddenly, like a jump scare from a scary movie, the loud revving sound of that car toy suddenly activated, along with the lights of the car in the middle of the room. I looked at the car and instantly got scared and accused my brother Luke of doing that to scare me. He was laughing hysterically, saying he didn't do it. I was completely terrified.
He 100% did it.
The toy then stopped making noises and went quiet. I was extremely unsettled, as any little kid would be, but nevertheless, time marched on and I fell asleep. It wasn't for a while until something else happened.
I thought that was a face, and I was about to piss myself.
One night, when Luke and I were both in bed again, we both
What
heard a
is
weird thud in the room.
What the fuck is that?
Luke insisted on trying to creep
What is this?
me out, saying there was a ghost in the room or something, and I kept yelling at him to shut up or I'd get Mom. He kept laughing until we both noticed a light in the corner of the room. It was the toy car
Oh,
again. I got out from the
I thought
bed
we were
and
talking
ran
about that.
straight down the stairs yelling for my mom. I got to my parents' room and yelled, "There's something in our room."
Oh my god. Mom. There's a toy in my room.
Sure, I gave a little 7-year-old spiel about how there's a ghost in the room, hearing a thud and the lights on the toy car turning on. Luke entered the
Something probably fell on the car. Something fell on the car, hit one of the buttons, and it activated.
room,
Fuck.
and my mom defaulted to telling him to
Children are so stupid.
knock it off if he's trying to scare me. He said how could he turn the lights of the car on from his bed? I slept in my parents' room that night because I was too scared
You throw something at the car. Like,
to sleep upstairs. It was a long while after that night and nothing happened. Not until one night. Luke was not in the room. My guess is he was having a sleepover with one of his many friends.
And then the toy car crawled up his ass and revved its engine so loud that it came out of my mouth.
I was sleeping in the room by myself that night. I had long since tucked that car away in the small bedroom across the hall because it freaked me out. After my mom kissed me goodnight, I asked her to keep the door open since I was always scared when I was alone in the room. I rolled on my side and tried to go to sleep. But being that I was scared of being alone, I had a hard time getting tired that night. I felt wide awake. Then, there was a sound I can't explain that came from down the hall. I flipped over to face the door.
that's probably the most explainable sound I've ever heard. A floorboard creaking is an unexplainable sound.
And the toy car rolled into the room with its lights on.
Whoa.
I let out a scream straight from the bottom of my stomach as I cried for my mom and pressed my body up against the wall. Moments later, my parents both came up the stairs into the room, noticing the car on the floor. I screamed that someone pushed the car into the room. My dad went to go check the other rooms, but said there was no one there. There weren't any places to hide up there besides the closets and under the beds, and my dad checked all of them. I don't know what my parents thought in that moment. On one hand, they probably thought the toy was malfunctioning or it's just my imagination. But on the other hand, I think they were also slightly freaked out. That toy car didn't have a feature to move on its own. My dad smashed the toy and threw it in the neighbor's trash to make me feel better. I slept in their room for a while until my dad forced me back upstairs eventually. This story is the reason why I believe in the paranormal and something after death.
Wow. That shit was not scary at all. That was the unscariest scary video I've ever watched. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Thank y'all for watching YouTube. Peace.